Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Woodbury Public Safety Police Officer Hiring Open House. I'm Police Commander John Altman, and we'll be taking you through a packed agenda tonight. Before we get into that, a brief note on Teams. If you're not familiar with Teams, please know that all participants are muted. We ask that if you have a question, please enter it in the Q&A window. We'll get to your questions at the end of our session. Tonight, you'll hear from a number of people that will give you an idea of what Woodbury Public Safety is all about. We will go over the hiring process, give an overview of the academy, as well as the field training process. You'll also hear from 3 officers that will share their Woodbury experience. We'll touch on the Hero Center, and after that, we'll even have time to answer some questions. So to get us started, let me tell you a little bit about our department. We are authorized at 71 sworn officers, and we serve 74,000 residents living in 28,000 households, making us the 8th largest city in the state. We respond to over 30,000 calls a year and cover 36 square miles. To do that, under the police side of our public safety model, we have a police chief who's also the public safety director, an assistant police chief who also serves as one of our assistant public safety directors, 3 police commanders, 10 sergeants, 2 of which are in career development positions, and 8 are assigned to patrol. We have 12 detectives that work as general detectives, street crimes, narcotics, community support, and then we have 2 school resource officers. And if I did my math right, we have 40 or just a little over 40 officers that are assigned to patrol. Also within that, we have a lot of specialty assignments that you'll hear about later, but things like K9 units, we currently have 2, but we do have authorization up to 4. We're trying to get our way back up there. Our ranks are made up of a balance of people that were either part-time Woodbury employees such as CSOs, a mix of lateral hires, and of course people that have no previous police officer experience. That's all normal police department stuff, but hopefully you'll key up on how we're unique because of the people here. We hire people that bring their own qualities and develop their own interests that complement the department members as a whole. Take this event, for example. This wasn't my idea. This was born out of the recruitment group you're going to hear from tonight. As a department, we challenge all members to be innovative. Okay, it's time to move on. As I said earlier, our chief is also the public safety director, and he has some insight to share with you. Chief Fag, it's all yours.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight and spending a little bit of time with us. So I think my official police chief duties here are to talk about our mission, our vision, our values, and I will do that. But and John kind of alluded to this already, that I think there's some things about us that make us a little bit special. Every department has a mission statement, and probably a lot of them look the same, but you know, it's one thing to put it on the wall or on the website or what have you, but I think what makes us special is that the people that you're going to meet tonight and the people that ultimately you will work with as your partners, if you come to our department, they really believe it. They live it, and it comes out every single day. So our mission statement says that we'll serve all people with compassion and courage. And, you know, I'd be willing to bet if we went and, you know, spot check, did a quick quiz on every officer, I don't know that every person would know our mission, vision, values, word for word. That's fine. But they certainly know how it comes out in their work every single day. And we really, really, really believe that this piece about compassion is kind of, I think we put that first on purpose. It's been that way for decades, and I can say that because I've been here for decades, for over 30 years. And it really is just about treating people right. We treat people right, everybody that we deal with. And that courage piece, you know, I think the traditional sense of what that means probably is what we all think about when we talk about police work, because clearly there's an element of police work that can be very, very courageous. But I think particularly now, even over these last several months with what we were going through here in our state, in our metro area, around Minneapolis-St. Paul region, and then around the world, around the country, there's a different kind of courageousness, I think, that it takes to put a badge on and go out and serve people, all people, with compassion and courage. So that's the people that you're going to meet tonight. That's the people that work here. That's the people we want to come here to Woodbury. You know, you could go on the website and you can look at our vision statement. We talk about exceptional responsive service and community trust and engagement. Again, probably doesn't sound super unique or novel, but the way it happens, we think is pretty darn cool. And it really does come down to always trying to do a little bit better. John talked about the fact that, we like a variety of people to come to us and to bring different talents and skills. And not only that, we want to learn from people. If you are working in a different department, you probably can teach us a few things when you come on in. And if you have no experience at all, you're going to meet some incredible people that love this job and come to this job for the right reasons. And really what that all means when I'm talking about that, it's really about culture. I think we have a culture that's second to none. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we think we've got it all figured out, but it means that we support each other. We care about one another, and we're always trying to do a little bit better for the people that we serve and for each other. So I'll end with that. I'm going to kick it over to Chief Minor, but the last piece I'll say is, I think particularly in light of what we all saw happen just last week at our nation's capital, the idea of starting your career by holding your hand up and swearing to defend the Constitution, that's not something we take lightly. It's something we remain extremely proud of. And that layered with our culture and our mission and values, that's why we show up to go to work every single day. So that's my official chief spiel. You're going to hear from some people tonight that probably are a lot more interesting than me. But John, if I'm okay with you, John, I'm just going to kick it straight over to Chief Minor for her piece. And thank you all for your time tonight.
All right, great. Thank you, Chief Vag. So again, my name is Chris Minor. I'm the Assistant Public Safety Director here at the department. So I just wanted to have a quick overview as far as a little bit of a history from our agency. So with regards to the police department, we did become a police agency in 1968. So relatively new agency, but within that, we've had a lot of change in our organization. So we've also always been a forward-thinking organization, and that led to a little bit of different direction of moving into a public safety department, which is unique probably to a lot of you out there, in that we have police, fire, EMS are all under one umbrella, which really allows for the continuity of government to flow between police, fire, and EMS seamlessly. We have command staff meetings on a weekly basis that we're all in the same room, now virtually in the same room, unfortunately with COVID, but which really allows us for that partnership across all division lines. So that's really helpful from a effective standpoint for safety services within our city. We did have a police paramedic program that was started in 1995. I think had been up to one point in time, we had 22 of police officers that were cross-trained as paramedics. We have been phasing that piece out now a little bit and shifting more towards our paramedics being focused on the fire EMS side of public safety. We do have, I think, 4 or 5 police officers that are still police paramedics, but again, we're shifting that more towards fire EMS side. In addition, we also have a police firefighter program that is in conjunction with working hand in hand with our fire services. Again, I apologize, I should have had these numbers off the top of my head, but I think we're up to 8 police officer firefighters that serve in that capacity. So with that, again, it's unique programming that we do offer within our organization, which really allows for different passions to come out with people that want to come to work for our agency. The other thing I want to touch on too briefly is just the community and council support that our organization has, as we've had for over the years. As Chief Ag has mentioned, he's been here for 30 years. I've been here for 30 years. We've really seen a strong support over all the 30 years that we've been here, which speaks highly to what our city founders have set up with regards to our process. And we don't take that lightly because some organizations don't have that. So we're really very fortunate in that aspect. We've also just completed a public safety staffing study in which we brought in an independent organization to come in and really take a look at our organization from top to bottom to see where we could have better efficiencies through our services. We also have an ongoing strategic plan that we've been having within public safety for the last several years. And then in addition, the City Council has also made that one of their strategic initiatives to really make sure that public safety has the resources and staffing and everything that we need to be successful in policing and within public safety. So again, we're very fortunate, very proud of that from our community council support. And that leads into the last item that I just want to touch on briefly here in this segment is with regards to our training facility called the Hero Center. So last year we did open a large training facility within the city of Cottage Grove. We partnered with Cottage Grove to build the facility, again, just to make sure that we're hitting on all the training aspects that are relative to our core values. So again, I'll speak to that a little bit further on in the presentation, but just want to give you a little quick snippet of the Hero Center now. And Commander Altman, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Chief. We're going to switch gears here. We're going to move over to Human Resources Specialist Jean Showalter. She's going to take a few minutes and go over what the hiring process looks like and what candidates can expect.
Hi there. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad that you were able to join us this evening. As many of you may have seen on the website or some of the different places where we've had this position posted, we are accepting applications for police officer through Sunday, January 24th. So at midnight that night, the recruitment will close for application. Following the close of the application process, we're going to go through our scoring. From there, what we'll be doing is setting up the first round interviews. First round interviews for this police officer process are going to take place. We have them scheduled right now for February 1st and 2nd. Following the results of those, we will be getting into a second round of interviews, and those are tentatively scheduled for February 10th and 11th. Those would be more what we consider our command staff interviews or second round interviews, where you'll actually be meeting with our chief or director and our assistant director. From there, we'll identify the candidates that we're interested in moving forward into backgrounds. Backgrounds can take a significant amount of time because we do dig in deeply to people's backgrounds. We're looking for everything. You're going to be a part of our organization representing us. So we want to make sure that we have the gist of everything about you. Following backgrounds, we'll get into our conditional job offers. Our conditional job offers here do become contingent on a couple of things. So first of all, successful completion of a psychological evaluation, successful completion of a physical, and then finally, you need to go before our city council for final appointment and approval. We are looking to get this process completed and take the candidates that we're appointing to our April 14th council meeting. Our city council meets twice a month, usually the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. So following that council appointment, that's when we would be looking to establish start dates and get people active into our process, which will lead us into the next part. We are going to be talking a little bit about the academy. The academy is going to be part of the next phase after we get you onboarded. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Jean. So as Jean alluded to, after candidates are appointed by City Council, all new officers go through our own academy here within Woodbury. Sergeant Gary Kistner is going to explain to us why and what the academy looks like.
Thanks, Commander. So our academy is roughly 3 weeks long. We established this several years ago for a multitude of reasons, and some of the big reasons that we went to this model was to make sure that all of our officers are, one, trained the same way, so that they're ready on their first day that they're out there serving our community. All of our officers are trained and can expect the same thing. And then the other aspect of it is being a unique department of public safety and how we can continue to progress forward. We want to make sure that we're laying the foundation for what it means to be a Woodbury police officer. So in this academy, you'll get a variety of different training. You'll meet a variety of different people from our department and really kind of get to experience what it is that makes us so unique. And like the chief talked about our culture, that's really where you're going to be able to see that. So within our 3-week academy, what you'll be able to go through is all firearms, response to resistance. We'll talk about building searches and have some different training venues for that. We'll work with our canines, kind of get your hands-on experience throughout this whole thing. And then a multitude of days going through reality-based training so that we can make sure that you can see a variety of different scenarios, more than you saw in skills, more than maybe you saw if you're a year experienced police officer, just so that everybody's on the same page. And then the last thing that we have in our academy that I think a lot of us can say is really awesome and really unique about us is we have a whole segment on wellness that really focuses on our officer that we're bringing into our department, as well as their families too. to provide them with resources and talk about the different programming and different resources that we have to offer as an organization to make sure that we're really thinking about that. So from there, after that 3-week academy is when you'll start your field training program. And with that, I'll give it back to you, Commander.
Okay, thanks, Garrett. As Garrett mentioned, you go through the academy. After the academy, our new officers are ready to hit the streets of Woodbury. Sergeant Neil Bauer is going to explain how Woodbury's field training process works, the philosophy behind it, and quite honestly, just how it's different than other places.
Thanks, Commander Ullman. As mentioned, after you finish the academy, you will then move on to the field training process. All of the applicants and new officers should plan to be in field training for about 4 to 5 months. The only time we really shorten that up would be as if you have prior experience from within Washington County. We might be able to cut that down a little bit, but other applicants, including laterals, should plan on being in field training for about 4 to 5 months. Our field training program really is an environment that we want to share information that really acknowledges the hard work that you all put into this kind of list line of work. And we want to develop our new officers into the ability to serve the community, again, with that compassion and courage that Chief Vague mentioned in the beginning. Our goal is to put you out on your own so that you can be successful in the end. If that takes additional time and effort, we want to put that into making that commitment to you. We've invested thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of staff time into this at that point, and we really want to put as much work into making sure that you have a supportive training environment during field training. Other departments, that brag about their washout rate, I don't really understand that concept. We want to make sure that we're hiring the right people, getting the right people through the door, and getting them out on their own, and being able to work successfully and independently. Again, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to be successful, but we want to make sure that we're all making the right decision in the end. After you complete those 3 phases of field training, you will then select one of your FTOs to work with throughout your and have mentor you throughout your remainder of your probationary period. Essentially, they will be in a mentoring role for you. You will meet with them on a regular basis just to touch base and just to keep moving along throughout your probation. If I have one bit of advice for new applicants, it would be to learn the geography as soon as possible. You don't get to drive the squad until you can successfully navigate your FTO around the city, so it's in your interest to learn it early. Thank you.
Thanks, Sergeant Bauer. So a couple interesting points that both Neil and Garrett hit on. We put people through our academy and through our field training process only after the point that we feel that we've selected the right person, and everything is about helping those people succeed. So as we move on here, and we're going to first talk to Ryan Brown, we want you to hear from some of the people that have succeeded here, and we'd like them to share their Woodbury experience. So everybody comes to Woodbury for a reason, and let's face it, sometimes it's just about who is hiring, but most of the time there's a reason why people came here and why they stay here. So first up, let's hear from Ryan Brown.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Brown. To begin, just a little bit about myself. I've been with Woodbury here since 2015, about midway through 2015. Since I've been here, I have been a response to resistance instructor, which is our use of force program. In that capacity, I also serve as an academy instructor. I have been assigned to the Washington County Mobile Field Force team. Part of that, my duties were assigned to CART, which is the Chemical Agent Reaction Team. I've been newly appointed as a field training officer here, and then I serve on the recruitment panel here. Before coming to Woodbury, I was a deputy sheriff with Dakota County Sheriff's Office from 2011 to 2015. That was kind of cool. I did time in courts, I did time in warrants, transport, civil mental health, and then I was a tactical operator on the SWAT team for 2 years. And then starting off my whole career, I was a community service officer and a reserve officer with Cottage Grove PD from 2004 to 2011. I came to Woodbury for a couple reasons. One of my former partners, Brian Wagner, came here and he was able to tell me about all the great things Woodbury offers. Woodbury is a community. It's a growing community. They support the police department here. Our department itself is growing with the city and the community, and we have great support from the top on down. Excuse me. In addition to that, we have great equipment available to us. And since I've been here since 2015, any goal that I've set for myself, the department and our sergeants here have been great about supporting us. In the beginning, my goal was to go for narcotics. They made sure I was able to go to plenty of training for that. I'm certified through different things through the state. I got to go become a Midwest Gang Investigator Association member and go to a couple of trainings there. And then just because of staffing, that position hasn't been filled right now. It will be anticipated to do so. However, my career goals have changed, and with it, our department has supported me along the way with that, with just proving trainings, finding training, and things like that. So overall, I don't regret coming here. And I know as a lateral, it can be scary, and I can tell you it's all mostly in your head. So thank you.
Thanks, Officer Ryan Brown, everybody. He's coming to us live from the Hero Center. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. We'll show you a video of the Hero Center. But before we do that, I'd like to hear from Officer Ashley Kohlrash. She's got an interesting experience how she came here that she'll be sharing with you. And Ashley, where are you coming from there?
Hi, I'm Ashley Kohlrash. I'm just taking a quick break from my patrol shift tonight to meet with you guys. So happy to be here. So my trip to Woodbury started back in about 2016. I was with Forest Lake Police Department for 8 years prior to reaching out to Woodbury. But if some of you remember, that's kind of the time that the city council was ready to get rid of their police department. So I started to think about where I wanted to go next. And of course, I was really picky because giving up 8 years in a police department was really hard, and there was a lot of things that I was giving up. So one of the assistant county attorneys actually said, well, what about Woodbury? You know, they've got all these different opportunities and they're so easy to work with and they have this great reputation. So I felt comfortable looking into Woodbury for all those different reasons, and then also that it was still in the same county that I worked in. So I reached out to Woodbury, and I'll never look back. So I've been here since 2017. I was officially sworn in, and through the last 3.5 years, there's been so many opportunities that I've had beyond the 8 years that I was at Forest Lake. So I'm currently a school resource officer assigned to Eastridge High School. And while they're in distance learning, I'm back on patrol shift. So some of the other things that I'm involved in here are a field training officer, and one of the things that I was passionate about when I left Forest Lake and came here was my child passenger seat safety certification. So I was really interested in starting that program, and within the first 2 years I was able to get that moving and then get 3 other people that were interested certified. So now we can help citizens and some of our coworkers install car seats and make sure their kids are being transported safely. Also part of the recruitment team, which is why I'm here, excited for that, and that our agency has something like that, so we can help, encourage people to apply here and tell our stories. In Forest Lake, some of my history or my experience there included investigations, a lot of community outreach. So really starting that program there got me a lot of contacts, and I was able to keep those contacts when I came here and keep going with everything that I wanted to do here. So something that is exciting about working here is everybody told me this is really pick your own destination. So what kind of officer do you want to be? What kind of things do you want to be involved in? This is really, there's so much opportunity and there's so much support. So like the people ahead of me have said, the council here is so supportive, and coming from a place that it was entirely the opposite. It's beneficial to be at an agency where there's so much community support and council support, and to mirror off what Ryan Brown said, the admin support too. So really mentoring. I feel like we're mentored, we mentor each other, and I didn't feel like a brand new officer when I got here in the basically, like, I was respected for having the 8 years of when I came here. So the culture here is wonderful, and like I said, I would never go back. So happy to be here, and reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thanks, Ashley. Interesting point that you made about, choosing your own destiny. We hear that over and over, and one of the unique things I think about our department is that our officers tend to take cases further than perhaps most police departments would. We're not just a patrol division that just takes a call, takes the report, then moves on and pushes it off to investigations. Our officers have the ability to run with cases and really roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty in cases, and that becomes a very rewarding part of the job. So, okay, next up we have Officer Carla Santos. She's one of our newer officers, although if you look at our roster based on how we've been hiring because of our city growth and some retirements, she's actually got quite a bit of seniority at this point already. So Officer Santos, it's all you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining in on this tonight. Like Commander Altman said, I'm Officer Santos. I've been with Woodbury for about 2 years now. A little bit about myself: I went to Hamline University and then completed skills at Hennepin Tech. I was completely green when I started here in Woodbury. Most of the reason I started here, I was very attracted to the growing city. I knew that I was going to have a lot of career development soon on in my career based on opportunities that have presented themselves within the department. Throughout my 2 years here, even though I've been on probation and such, I've been part of the recruitment team. We also have a multicultural advisory committee, which I'm really passionate about. We meet monthly with underrepresented community members, and we discuss how best we can bridge the gap and move forward with our community, as we're very supported here. I'm also part of the mobile field force and an Explorer advisor as well. So within the 2 years I've been here, I've been pretty busy in a very healthy way. I've been supported by everyone here. Another thing that has stood out to me is that within my short 2 years here, I've been part of critical incidents, and I really cherish the importance that is placed on our mental health and our well-being and checking in with each other and our partners. I feel very comfortable walking into any admin staff's office, whether it's Commander Altman or the chief's office, which I really appreciate here. I know that it's very different within other departments. I've also worked as a reserve officer in South St. Paul Police, so that helped develop a little bit of my skills now, but just knowing that somehow I was able to move as a reserve to an officer now brings my passion more to help navigate the system on how to become an officer and those aspects. So I know I've already received several messages from people that are interested in working for Woodbury, so I appreciate that, and just feel free to keep reaching out and asking any questions. I'll be really straight up with you guys. Thank you.
If there's one thing that you'll get from our people here, especially our recruitment officers, is they're going to be candid with you. So please, if you have questions, put them in the chat. But also after this event, you can always reach out to our recruitment officers and ask any questions that you want. So we've mentioned a couple times the Hero Center, and we've had some great success with not only the implementation of that, but then the use of the Hero Center. And that was born of a lot of hard work by Assistant Chief Chris Meinert. So Chief Meinert, if you want to give us a quick overview of the Hero Center, and then we've got a video for you as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Commander Altman. So again, the Hero Center is a joint training effort with the City of Cottage Grove. This started back in 2011 when we really started kicking around the idea of a joint training facility, because we frankly didn't have any place to train for law enforcement or public safety training for that matter. Our ranges that we're using for our mandatory qualifications were getting closed down, or very limited times and opportunities to shoot. So we put together a plan, and with community and council support, we did receive legislative funding through the state of Minnesota to fund a $22 million project for the Hero Center. So the Hero Center stands for Health and Emergency Response Occupations. We just think it's a great acronym. And just a little bit about the facility, and then we'll watch a short video here. With regards to the building and the planning of the facility, we wanted to make sure we had safety and security in mind of our officers in their training environments. Because what we have been seeing is we're receiving a lot of officer injuries through training injuries, so we wanted to mitigate those officer injuries just from a training standpoint. It is a state-of-the-art facility with equipment, and there's 3 primary training pods. One wing is for firearms, which includes 2 ranges, a 12-lane range, which is open to the public. So if you go to the Hero Center website, you can see that you can actually go in there on the weekends and shoot if you would like. And then we also have an adjacent range next to that, which is 4 lanes, which is specifically reserved for police officer training. We also have 2 large classrooms that open up together that we can hold 100 people for any type of training that we want. It's also, again, with the IT support, we've really updated all the equipment, especially due to COVID, so we can do a lot of remote training from that space as well. And the third primary space is our reality-based training bay. I think we're really excited about this piece because it really brings together the integration of all different modules within the continuity of training. We have our MATS room where we can do defensive tactics. We have a simulator room, and we also have a 2-level reality-based training which has movable walls, which really allows us to give the opportunity to have our officers really experience things, different scenarios, and mix everything up. Outside, we have a couple outdoor buildings. One is a split-level house, and one is a 1-level house that is equipped to handle dynamic explosive entry for our SWAT members to practice on. We also have a helicopter landing zone, although we have not had a helicopter land there yet, but we did put that in there just from the standpoint of we do have fire EMS training there as well. So as we look to continue on with those training opportunities, we just wanted to make sure we had everything covered. And then also just probably about a year ago was when we opened up, and we also hired our first ever Hero Center training manager, Dan Anselman. He comes to us he was a prior police officer in Burnsville, so we're excited to have him there. He really knows the facility in and out. He's kind of the jack of all trades. He keeps the facility running. He does the website. Was a great addition to the center. So with that, I will turn it over to Commander Altman to start the video.
Okay, well, I'm not controlling the video here, so I believe our moderator is going to tackle that for us.
After years of figuring out funding and logistics, the Hero Center broke ground last year in Cottage Grove. The building is a public safety training facility for police, fire, and EMS.
Hero Center, this is Dan.
The person in charge at the Hero Center is Dan Anselman.
So my job is to really oversee the entire facility, the day-to-day operations. There's a lot of stuff for me to do when you've got a facility that's almost 48,000 square feet.
The building was built by the cities of Cottage Grove and Woodbury to offer their first responders a place in the East Metro to train.
The first time I came in for a tour, I remember walking through the building thinking, this has clearly been designed by individuals who understand training for first responders. It's very exciting for me because it's a place where, as a former law enforcement officer, I can come here when I'm training and I can just get everything I need to do in one spot. And that's what makes this facility so unique and so exciting.
The one-stop spot includes classrooms for 28 to 100 people, a 12-lane firing range, which will be open to the public, and a 4-lane range primarily used by law enforcement.
Another part of the facility has the reality-based training area. The reality-based training area has a virtual simulator for de-escalation type scenarios. The next area is a MATS room. So this is a fully padded MATS room that allows officers and agencies to utilize that for their response to resistance training. Then we have the indoor reality-based training area with the Huff Core movable wall system. This is set up so that the officers can go in and you can change it. You could be at one room over here, a hallway, another room, and it really makes it so that when they work on building searches and things like that, this is an excellent option for them as well.
Additional space is located outside to practice ladder drills, SWAT entries, vehicle stops, and more.
Okay, we're sorry for the choppiness to the video there. There's always, of course, going to be some sort of limitations with technology. So we've got some time for some questions, and we've had several questions come up in our live event Q&A. Couple of the questions were regarding our Multicultural Advisory Commission and the multicultural work that our department does around here. Wondering if Chief Lee Vague, if you could take a stab at answering what our MAC group does.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we're relatively new to the Multicultural Advisory Committee. This isn't something that we came up with on our own, but what we realized is that there was a really nice model that we kind of adapted to work for us. We were extremely fortunate that in our community lives one of our residents who is kind of a rock star in the world of DEI work, does this stuff through his main work, and really was passionate about bringing it back to the community that he lives in. The really nice part about our Multicultural Advisory Committee is it's a group of people of all different backgrounds, ethnicities, walks of life that come together to support what we do. And I think that's really kind of a key piece of it. It doesn't mean we don't have challenging conversations. That's part of the deal, right? Is we want to make sure that we're being transparent and we are answering questions. And the hope is that by making connections with this small group of people, that they can help us then to connect, as you heard earlier from Officer Santos, is connect with people that maybe we traditionally don't connect to as well as we should. So it's relatively new. They set the agenda as far as this upcoming year, as far as things that we want to talk about. They've helped us develop some policy pieces where we've put it in front of them to look at some things to make sure that we're putting it through a good DEI lens. They've given us some great advice and overall been a really supportive kind of arm of our department. So we're still learning. But we are really happy with the people that have stepped up to be on this Multicultural Advisory Committee, and we know there's going to be good things in the future as well.
Thanks, Chief. We've had a couple questions as well about if candidates can come to a ride-along. Unfortunately, with the COVID restrictions and with the way things are right now, we do very much need to protect our department members and of course candidates as well. So we are not able to do that, unfortunately, at this point. So a couple questions came in, and officers have answered about people coming in with experience versus not experience. having ambitions if they want to, get involved in other things, perhaps not, spend their career on patrol. And I was wondering if perhaps Sergeant Neilbauer or Garrett Kistner, Sergeant Kistner, would be willing to tackle that question. And if you're answering the question, you're on mute there, guy.
I didn't hear
I can jump in if we're having problems with audio or anything. Sorry, as John said, there's always going to be a few little things here as we do this. But one piece that I think is important to talk about is we've got a program called Check Up from the Neck Up, where we make sure that all of our first responders get to meet with a licensed therapist. And this is a person who's got a particular expertise in the world of public safety. Simply as a check-in, this is a private meeting. This is something that is between our employee and that therapist. But we know, and we've talked about this, I think you've heard about it earlier tonight, just how important it is to make sure that we're taking care of each other and that the wellness of our officers is a priority. This is an amazing job. It's an exciting job. It's a fun job. It also can be a job that, if you don't take care of yourself, can certainly take its toll on you. So we want to not only support you on the day-to-day stuff, we want to make sure that we have experts, not only for your physical health, but your mental health and your mental well-being as well. So this is just what we do. I go, Chief Minor goes, we all go. And if there's any follow-up that you want to do with that, again, that's private. We pay for that. And we want to make sure that you not only are here, but that you're here for a long time, and that you have a healthy balance between work and home. And that's another part of our culture. I mean, we could talk about these different things all night long, but everybody you've met tonight loves being a cop, loves doing the job. We also love the other parts of our life and making sure that we've got that balance. And again, those are the types of people that we think will fit in really nicely with our department.
So one of the questions that has come up a couple times is, what about opportunities, and is there a period of time that an officer needs to wait? And I was going to look to Ryan Brown to answer this one. Is there a period of time that people need to wait before they jump in and get involved in things besides patrol? Brian, if you want to weigh in, or if Ashley has anything to offer, or Carla as well.
I'm sorry, how long until they can get in on specialized units? Is that was the question?
Right. So the question is, people want to get involved in other things besides just patrol work. How does one go about doing that, and what kind of time does that take?
Sure. Like I said before, it kind of all depends on what the specialized unit is that you're looking at. Something like Explorer Advisor or Mobile Field Force, they may have different time constraints and stuff compared to something like SWAT or K9 or narcotics or something like that. However, they all require that you complete your probationary period, which someone asked, I'll just answer here, is 18 months, our probationary period from the date of hire. That includes your time in the academy and then your field training process and then beyond there. So, but yeah, every unit's different as far as how you would work towards a specific one. It all kind of depends. If it's like K9, you just have the opportunity to go to the K9 trainings that they hold monthly, get experience there. If it's SWAT, they have opportunities for you to get involved, investigations, plus there's training and stuff. So it's all dependent on what the program is and the unit that that you're looking to get onto.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Question came up. What is the ratio of male to female officers, and are officers treated equally? I'll answer the first part of that, but I'll look to Ashley and Carla and Chief Minard as well to answer that other question, just to give a perspective. But Interesting statistics. So statewide in Minnesota, 11% of police officers in Minnesota are women. Here in Woodbury, 22% of our police officers are women. As far as equity and fairness, if anybody else wants to answer on that, please do.
I'd like to take a quick moment to address, maybe long term. Again, I've been here for 30 years, and getting into law enforcement as a woman back in the 80s was a little bit challenging. But what I really want to emphasize is the culture that we have within our organization has been tremendous support, and I think just bar none, just forward thinking in those regards, and really being able to set the tone for other women to be hired within our organization. And I would really like to hear from Officer Santos and I'm sorry, Ashley, I can't pronounce your last name very well, so I'm just going to call you Ashley. So I'd really like to hear from you with regards to how it is from your perspective.
So I'll jump in. We're really fortunate to have a progressive police department here, and actually this last summer the Woodbury Bulletin did an article about women police officers in Woodbury, and we all sat at a round table and just kind of talked about our experiences. And mine, of course, was only 10 years at that time, but we also had Chief Meinert there, and just sharing about how it's evolved so much just in law enforcement from 30 years ago till now. And I think that we're ahead of the game at Woodbury. There's some opportunities that we've had the last couple years of just an all-female shoot, where any interested females can get together and go to the range and shoot and have lunch and just congregate and support each other. So we also, I recognize that we don't have a lot of competition between females, which is really unique for our department. I know lots of females in other departments that just have some competition issues with others, and it comes with some type A personalities that we have here in this profession. But luckily, I can't say that I have the same experience here. We're really supportive of each other and lean on each other and hang out outside of work sometimes. So I would say that it's very much so welcomed, and even from some of the feedback we've gotten from our male partners just about the balance that we bring to calls. And we really, we got some good females that work here, and we need to recruit some more. So that's been one thing, we got to recruit some more good females. So that's been exciting to share from our male counterparts.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Ashley said, one of my most memorable times here is when we do have those female shoots or those female get-togethers. It's really, really fun. We call it Girl Squad. It might be cheesy and all, but Ashley and I have gotten on a lot of calls together with a lot of our other female partners, and it's really nice because sometimes it'll be 6 females on and 1 male officer on. So the dynamics are fun, but we're very well respected amongst our male counterparts, and it's been amazing. Always feel very supported, and I don't feel that I get treated any different for being a female in this department.
Really appreciate your candid responses there, everyone. Next question, I'd like Sergeant Neil Bauer to answer. The question was about workload on our patrol officers and what that looks like as far as the relation with community impact and community-based policing, or just getting out of the car and being able to talk to people. Are our patrol officers running call to call and not having any time with the officers, or do we have time for that community interaction? So Sergeant Bauer, would you be willing to talk about that just a little bit?
Absolutely. That's one of the cool things about our department is that we have, there are times when it is call to call. but we do have those opportunities to engage with the community on a regular basis, whether that's through some of those formalized programs like the Multicultural Advisory Committee, or through our crime-free multifamily housing programs, or all those other things, those real formal programs. You know, on a regular basis, when we bid, the beginning of each bid, you'll sit down with your sergeant and you'll set some goals for that bid. And one of those, at least one of those goals, needs to be related to community outreach and community engagement. So as an officer that's working the midnight shift, like what does that look like? That might be that you're really engaging with the hotel staff. That might be that you're working with or stopping in at the gas stations that are in your area. During the day, there's a lot of different options. And you know, if let's say you're really into hockey during the hockey season, does that mean that you're stopping down and engaging with people that are down at the Healthy Sports Center at the rink? You know, there's a lot of latitude and availability for that as well. And it is highly encouraged. And like I said, it is one of the goals that you'll set. In addition to setting an enforcement goal, the balance there is that how do you plan to engage the community on a regular basis in a way that's meaningful for you and meaningful for the community as well.
Appreciate that, Neil, very much. A couple questions about patrol shift structure and the number of people that are on duty. So we have a rather unique schedule. Our officers work 10.5-hour days, and they work shift start times that are 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. And they work in teams, as Sergeant Bauer alluded to, in that they bid their shift based on a period of time, whether it's what's that? Sorry, I thought you had spoke up there, Neil. Anyway, officers bid their shifts, and they bid their shifts with their team, and they work with the same group of people and the same sergeant then for an extended period of time. And that helps with that goal setting that Sergeant Bauer alluded to. And the schedule is actually pretty nice. Some departments you might be working 12-hour days and you're working weekends for the next several years, but here what we do is it's a rotating schedule that covers a 28-day period that gives you 2 weekends off a month. So it's ready, 5 on, 4 off, 5 on, 5 off, 4 on, 5 off. And of course there's some training involved in there too on some of those days off. So they the officers really do like working that schedule, and it makes a difference then with their family life and their personal life and being able to plan things out. So they've got their schedule ahead of time, and we generally don't make modifications of the days on. There might be some shift start times that get modified just a little bit, but for the most part, your days on are your days on and your days off are your days off. So among that rotation, we might have anywhere from as little as 5 officers on, including a sergeant, during the really slow times overnight, all the way up to upwards of a dozen during the really busy times of the day or the times of the week, based on those shift overlap times. Question came up, and I'm going to send this one over to Officer Santos because she had a great answer in the chat here. The question was, how big is your Hispanic community? And Officer Santos, you had a good answer that I think would be good for the group to hear.
Yep, so for our Hispanic community, like I said, one of the reasons I was personally attracted to this community is because as a minority officer, I do speak Spanish fluently. I had the opportunity to apply in St. Paul or Minneapolis, but for whatever reason, I was more drawn to working for a department that I knew that was growing, and I knew there was a diverse community that maybe hasn't been represented throughout the department. So that was very important for me. And with that, I've been able to be a part of our Multicultural Advisory Committee, as well as attending different community events. On my patrol shift, what I appreciate is that command staff doesn't necessarily look at how many traffic stops I've made, but they take into importance how much I've put into the community, whether it's an interaction during a call or whether it's stopping out at Health East or just doing various things throughout the department. So with that, I feel a very strong connection with community members that are underrepresented. There's a strong connection, and I know my other partners are just as capable of having these conversations, but it just gives it a unique perspective when you're able to interact or just speak in Spanish or whatever language it is with somebody. So I really, really appreciate that about this department, and they're always taking in my input on changes or what we can do to just be better overall.
Thanks, Carla. Appreciate your insight on that. A couple questions came in about our reserve officers and our reserves officer program. Sergeant Gary Kistner oversees the reserves officers, and wondering if you have just give us a quick 60-second overview of what that program looks like and what candidates can expect there.
I think he's having headset problems, John.
I think he is too. We'll come back to that one. Several questions about the process that were specific to people, so we don't need to bring that in front of the group here. Briefly with the reserve officer program, until we get Garrett back, I can just give you a quick rundown of that. We do accept applications throughout the year. We did just have a process in a group close, but certainly if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to Garrett Kistner. The information for reserve officer program can be found on our city website. Be a lot of good information there for some next steps. And related to that, a couple questions have come up about what is the makeup of our department and do we hire brand new green people, right? So in our department, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a mix of people that were already our CSOs or reserves. Some were lateral hires from other agencies, and of course, some were brand new green, no police officer experience whatsoever, make up some of the members of our department. And it's that blend that makes us who we are and makes us the unique group of people that complement each other. And so, of course, yes, we do hire people that are brand new and green. We certainly do love experience, and we've also had some really great success with hiring people that were CSOs here and that were already getting introduced to not only our system, but law enforcement, the systems here within Washington County. So we are just about out of time. I think we've gotten to all the questions. I thank everybody for bearing with us through some of our technical difficulties that we've had here. This is a new process for us. Like I said earlier, this was born out of the idea of the people here that you've met with tonight and that you've had some time to interact with. So the first time is going to be a little rocky, right? So certainly, if you do have any further questions, we got Garrett back. Garrett, we were talking about the reserve program, and if you want to give us a quick 60-second pitch on our reserve program.
Yep, sorry about that. So our reserve program, I heard a little bit of what Commander Altman was speaking about. We're up to 18 members. That's where we like to sit. I was a reserve officer prior to becoming a police officer, so the experience is amazing that I got from there. Our reserve officers assist us with non-emergency type calls and also do jail transports and other transports for us to help alleviate some of the workload for our officers. So if you are in that position where you're not quite done with your schooling or looking to get some more experience, now we can see that there's another avenue within our department that gets some great experience and some exposure to the aspects of law enforcement and into our culture as an organization.
Thanks, Garrett. So we are just about out of time, and if there's anything that we want to be is timely and not hold anybody over, we do appreciate your time tonight. We thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you've got something out of this and enjoyed meeting some of us. If you haven't already visited our recruitment page, you can find it at woodburymn.gov/policerecruitment. Once you're there, you can find contact info for the officers you heard from tonight, more information on our department, more about the application process, some of the deadlines and so forth. And once again, just a reminder that applications are due late on Sunday, January 24th, just a minute before midnight. Have a great night, everybody, and thank you.